Citation I got when I was in Vietnam, 1969. It tells about my action.
Sergeant Cornwall directed effective fire on the enemy position. The deadly enemy fire, he made 3 trips carrying the wounded to safety in rear of the company.
They're out there yelling for help. And then you gotta put yourself in their place and say, God, send somebody get me. So that's the part, that's the hard part. You know?
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, you know, I mean, like, you like somebody come get you.
That's right.
You know? So I feel like, hey, you're my brother, I gotta go get you, you know? And then, like, today, the 3 of them, they're still alive.
Wow.
And every year that we meet up in Branson, Missouri, all the kids come up to me, hug me. Thank you for taking, saving my daddy.
Oh.
And I tell them, your daddy would done the same thing for me. So, this goes with the citation. This is what the Bronze Star looks like.
Wow.
I'm missing the V device, which is for valor. Valor is with bravery. But, like, a lot of units over there, a lot of guys had Bronze Stars, but then that's for being with a unit. It wasn't for being a personal thing that you did yourself.
Louder? What did it feel like when you got drafted at 18?
You go to war, you don't know if you're coming back. And you're so young, fresh out of high school, but I also was married, so we didn't have any kids. That's the reason why we got drafted. Going over there was, when you're 18 years old, you grow up really fast. That's the beginning of my life of starting to be a real man.
Do you know any of your friends that are veterans that are homeless?
I have a few of them. I try to help them as much as possible. Try to direct them to the VA, the Veterans Administration, to get help. You get free clothing, free medical assistance. They can even get compensated. Some of these people, they get hard time when they get out of the service and start to transition back to regular life. And so what happens is that they run amok and they end up doing jobs, and that's how they end up homeless. A lot of them are divorced, mostly of them. A lot of them, they have PTSD symptoms, but they don't know it. They don't know what it's at. I didn't know what it was until I found out like 15 years after. Since I'm a veteran, I try to spread the word to other homeless veterans or any veteran that need help. I would ask some brother, you're okay? Yeah, what? You got a place to live? No. Yeah. I would give him the name, give him an address, and say, call this guy up, and he can help you. Get a better life, quality of life. I feel sorry for them. I feel like the VA helped me a lot. Try to get my mind straight. And these guys, they are wandering around aimlessly. They don't know the VA is out there to help them. So that's the reason why I pass the word out. And then I also I come here. I've been coming to this Stretcher Beach for 50 years. So I trust this place. There's a trust in it. And every time they pass me by and I'm cooking, I feed them. It's not about the money. It's about helping people. A lot of these guys too, they get distracted because of the drugs. The drugs would, put them in a different world now. The way I'm thinking is totally different. So to get these guys back online again, thinking straight, all you can do is tell them that you can change because there is time. Time is always on your side. Get time to change. Every day he would pass by and I'll look at him and say, hi. And one day I said, hey, brother, by any chance you want vet? Yeah. I said, did you ever go to the VA and try and get some assistance? No. I said, you should, yeah. I gave him a number. And I said, you go call this guy. And this guy, you tell him that you know me. And I want to recommend you to go to see him. Today, he lives in Waipahu. He has his own apartment.
Wow.
He has a job. You know, he's self-sufficient now.
Then
You
move
know,
your chair over
You know, you're veteran. There's nothing that you cannot do because you had all that good training available to you.
How were you injured?
What happened was I got a hole in my leg. I walked into a booby trap. I walked into a punchy stick booby trap, and then it went right through my leg. Came out to the back of my leg.
Tell them what a punchy stick
A punchy stick is a bamboo strip about this long, very, very sharp. Very, very sharp. And once I got wounded, and now since I was the point man, now I'm out of commissions.
The what man?
The point man, I'm the guy that leading everybody.
And
I was
how
lucky.
many people were you leading?
Anywhere from 150 to 200.
Wow.
Yeah, we're going on a big battalion sweep, that's why. We're going to check out his whole area, looking for DC. You know, if they dug in or, you know, they usually they're in tunnels. We're going over there and try to eradicate all of DC in the area. Or I could have lost my leg, okay. And I was fortunate. That was mild. To me, that was mild. Because I've seen a lot worse cases, you know. Triple canopies.
What is that?
You got your trees, then you get your taller trees, and then you got bigger trees on top of that.
Wow.
So there's no sunlight on the bottom, only when the wind blows and the beams of light come through the trees. So I didn't see the trip wire. And that's when I hit it, I knew already what was going to happen. I was surprised that it wasn't a daisy chain or something like that. A daisy chain is one of the worst booby traps you can get into. They tie a whole line of grenades down a trail, so once you hit that tripwire, all the grenades will be set off, so everybody can wait. So I was lucky. I would say I was lucky.
How can PTSD affect your daily life?
And there's certain events that happen, it's going to take you back to where you was. And you're going to play over in your mind over and over. These events that happen is very crucial because what happens is that you cannot watch movies with guns or with bombs. If you see that, you get an automatic flashback. And then you gotta get a closer TV. You cannot sleep. You gotta get medication. You know, for sleep, just to get it past the sleep, because you go to sleep, you get a nightmare because what you was watching. And you know, when you deprive of sleep, you know, your condition getting worse. And you gotta think to yourself, what is the best thing for you to do? But then again, you home, so you're not too worried about it. But it affects your sleep, your thinking process, how you think, and your decision making. Everything's slowed down like 70%. Some guys, they go ballistic, they start shooting up the house, they start doing bad things, and then now it's only getting worse. Right? So, if you get PTSD, it's bad already. You don't want to make it more worse than that. But how do you deal with it? That's the hard part. You got to get out of it, and the only way you can get out of it is go to a sanctuary. You can relax, calm yourself down. And then when you calm yourself down, then you back to reality again. This is my sanctuary. Like I said, I've been coming here 50 years. And then when I know I'm here, I'm safe. So I can, I can vent. To me, like, over here, I'm free. So that's why I usually come like 3 times, 4 times a week, just to come and watch the waves. You go to the VA, the Veterans Administration, and you go to the mental health, and you tell them, I have PTSD and I want to speak to a counselor, PTSD counselor. And they will make an appointment for you for that counselor to see you, and you're gonna be with him for the first 2 hours, and then you're gonna write down. But before you do that, you like see the counselor. You like make sure that you have a veteran, a real veteran, as your counselor, because he can understand the lingo. He can understand what you're talking about. You know, he can relate to your problems. Whereas you have a non-veteran person, they're only guessing. They're only guessing what you have. I have about maybe about 20 um, Vietnam vets. We get together every Tuesday at 9 o'clock to 11. We have a 2-hour session, and we talk about our problems. And then we uh, we can relate to each other because we've all been there and we know what it's like. You know, there's no guessing in this. And by going to these meetings, that you build trust. Because you're a Vietnam vet, and everybody know trust is the biggest thing. You can get from these people, and they understand what you're talking about. So when you get there, you kind of feel relief when you come back out. When you come out of the building, you feel good.
You're still comrades.
Yeah, right. Well, we're more like brothers. Because the group that I'm with, about 4 of them was in my basic training. So
Wow.
yeah, we're all same age, so we all relate to each other. I mean, like everybody watch everybody's back. Yeah. I've been feeding the homeless since 1995 at Kapilani Park. We used to have this general, his name was General John Rogers. I was his cook, and we used to go down to the food bank, which is, as long as you're a non-profit organization, we get to purchase all the food that we like, and we take them to Kapilani Park. I would set up like my tables, my grill, and everything, and we feed all the homeless veterans. And I kind of like that because it's a good feeling that you're trying to give back what they never had. So, and my main point was that I came home alive. So that's the idea of giving back. Yeah, some guys never make them.